$600 is all the government decided was needed for US citizens going through this pandemic when so many other governments are providing so much more for their citizens. So we're not going to harp on that, but what I wanted to do was use this as an example to show you $600 stimulus check. Can it help you buy a home? And the answer is yes, because we're going to use this as kind of a tool to explore creative financing options that you have available to you. Okay, we're going to sprinkle in a mix of, some fun memes just to keep things a little bit lighthearted. All right, so I don't know if you ever see this on House Hunters where it says, wife $600 stimulus check, husband $600 stimulus check, budget's $3.2 million. I feel like every time I watch HGTV, it's like the husband's a butterfly catcher and the wife draws with crayons for a living and their budget's like $4 million. I don't know what these people are doing. So $600, it's a stretch, but we're just using this to illustrate creative ways to purchase a home. And we also have to keep in mind, creativity doesn't always work in a seller's market. Creativity with financing typically works really well in a buyer's market, okay? And also, this is about if the stimulus check comes, and when. Right now, it's still undecided how much it's going to be, when it's going to come, who it's going to go to. So again, this is all just for illustrative purposes. So what we're going to do is 3 homes with 3 loan scenarios, all for $600 total or less. And at the end, I'm actually going to show you a home that you can buy for about $1.4 million, all with $600 brought to the closing table. These are all with traditional loan programs. There's no weird gimmicks or grants in here. All right. This one is from one of my favorite shows. If you've never seen Arrested Development, it's incredible. But I mean, it's 9 months of rent, Michael. How much could it cost? $600? I think it's a perfect illustration of, how insane it is for the government to say, here, $600, that will get you by. How long would that last? 9 months for you. It's ridiculous. So first home here, this is in Beverly Hills, Florida. What we're going to explore here first is $100 down FHA loan program. So FHA has a loan program that you can do $100 down on HUD REOs. That means they were foreclosures. They're now owned by HUD and being represented by a seller's agent. So this is for $179,000, okay? And we can take a look here at this home. Not the nicest home, it's not the prettiest home, but still certainly can, we could do some work to this. We could actually do a 2 or 3K loan, a rehab loan to fix it up the way that we want it, put in a nicer kitchen, put in new flooring, new paint, things like that to make it a little bit nicer. Okay, down payment, $100 down. That's the FHA HUD REO program. All right, closing costs, I'm going to estimate somewhere around $6,500. And these are things like taxes, insurance, appraisal, standard closing costs you run into on every loan. Now on this, what we can actually do is negotiate for the seller to pay for a portion of our closing costs. And in this case, we're going to have them cover most of them. With FHA loans, we can ask for up to 6% of the purchase price towards closing costs. So in this instance, we'll ask for 3.35%, gives us $6,000. Okay, and so we can see our down payment plus closing costs minus the seller credit gives us a total of $600. So we could purchase this home, all right, actually with an FHA 203K, finance the repair costs. So for only $600 brought to the table, we could put in a new kitchen, a new bathroom, new flooring, new paint. We could maybe upgrade landscaping a little bit. We can do all of this stuff for $600 up front. Okay. Y'all probably don't know this, but this tiny little pocket in your jeans is for your second stimulus check. I've always wondered what that pocket was for. Looks like jean manufacturers were looking out for us a little bit earlier. So before we jump into house number 2, let's go ahead and have a calm moment. So when we have pandemics like this, it creates so much stress and hardship for people, right? You might be extremely financially impacted, or you might not be even financially impacted at all, but you're still enduring the hardship that's coming from the pandemic and all the changes that are happening. And the first defense that we tend to go to is that of frustration. We tend to vent, right? So you'll probably see people who didn't watch this whole video, didn't watch up to this moment, and they're typing aggressive comments, as we speak, because that's our first response, our first defense is to vent and to show our anger, our frustration, to say this is rigged, nothing is working for me. But if we dig a little bit deeper, we can recognize there's 2 things going on. There's Number one, there can be shame about the situation that we're in, right? We're getting taken advantage of things that are happening outside of our control, and we feel that shame internally. And also, we have the anxiety of we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we feel like we don't know what's going to happen in terms of our ability to provide for ourselves and our family. Not only that, but when we voice our complaints over and over and over again, and we feel like we're not being heard, we begin to feel like we're being taken advantage of, right? We're being taken advantage of an employer because of how they're choosing to operate in this pandemic. We're being taken advantage of the government because of the fact that they're supposed to be there as support in exact times like this, but we're seeing money being given more to corporations and larger entities rather than individuals. And what's really going on, that core emotion underneath, is the anger and frustration that things are entirely out of our control, that things aren't going the way that we want, that we might not be the provider. We might not have the ability to be the provider that we need to be for ourselves and for our families. So many people are counting on us, but so many things are out of our control. And we can recognize that anger and frustration is beneath the rest of the shame and the anxiety and the venting that we're doing, then that's where we can move into a place that has more calm, more openness, more clarity to actually make decisions moving forward. And processing that anger helps you move more into a space where you can collaborate with the ideas that you have and collaborate with other people to set up a plan that's going to help you move forward, even if it's the one that you don't want. When we can recognize those emotions that are deeper down, that's when we can actually make a plan that's going to make sense. Again, it's probably not the one that you wanted. It's not the one that you planned for. Nobody planned to be in the situation that we're in right now, or to have the lack of support that we have right now. But when we can process that emotion, recognize it's beneath it, honor it, validate it, feel how it feels in our body, then we can see that emotion pass, just like a wave. And then we can move into something that's more collaborative moving forward. We can find a plan that works for us and our family, so we can move back to that provider space that we have so much longing for, that people are depending on us for. Okay? So recognize what's happening. Those are defenses that we're creating, this venting, all right? And then underneath that, we have this anxiety, this shame, this frustration, this anger, this fear. When we can honor those, validate those are going to push us into a more calm space moving forward. Okay, second home option is USDA, and we're going to do a special feature of USDA called a closing cost wrap. We'll actually take the closing costs, bring it back into the purchase price. So here's how this works. This home listed for $245,000. You can see this is a pretty nice home in Kaufman, Texas. We got 3 beds, 2 bathrooms. This is a really nice home that we could purchase with USDA. It's in a USDA eligible area. We do have to watch out for some of the other USDA qualifications, like the income limit that doesn't come there. But overall, this is going to be a great house that we could look at purchasing. Now, what we're going to assume in this scenario, and obviously this won't work for every single scenario, is it listed at $245,000, but we're going to assume it actually is going to appraise for $252,900. All right, so it's actually come in above the sale price with its appraised value. What's cool about USDA loans, and only USDA does this, is we can take any difference between the above appraisal and the sale price and push closing costs into it. So down payment would be $0. USDA does 0% down. Closing costs, we're going to estimate $8,000. Again, that's taxes, insurance, appraisal, all of that jazz in there. Then we appraised above the purchase price by $7,900. That means we can take most of our closing costs, $7,900 of our closing costs, and wrap them into the loan amount, giving us a total of $100 due at closing. All right, so for $100 total, we can purchase this home here in Kaufman, Texas. Okay, this show was a wild ride. Tiger King, nuts. But before stimulus check, after stimulus check, I'm super glad this guy kind of got his life around, got off of drugs and everything, and is looking a lot better now. I'm imagining it probably took a little bit more than $600 for this look here. But let's move on to the third one. And the third one is the biggest example that we have here. So this is a VA loan, and we're going to actually use retirement money as a loan to fund some of our closing costs. Okay, so $1.45 million. You can see this is a super nice house. And again, we can purchase this for $600 or less using creative financing. 4 beds, 4 baths in San Ramon, California. Down payment is $0, okay? The VA loans have 0% down. You do have to be a veteran to qualify for them. Closing costs, we're gonna estimate $12,000 with taxes and all of that in there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a loan out of a 401k for $11,400. Okay, so take a loan against the 401k, use that, does not count in our debt to income ratio, and that's going to bring us to a total of $600 cash due at closing to purchase this $1.45 million home. Okay, and again, these are all just for illustrative purposes. For some people, these will actually work really well. For others, it might not work, right? You might not be a veteran, so that, for instance, that program is not going to work for you. And obviously, this pandemic and the lack of stimulus and lack of support from the government is causing huge hardship and headache for people. So this video in no way is to undermine the struggles that so many people are going through. It's mainly just a tool to help you understand a little bit more about how loans work, because for most people, you're going to be putting a down payment down. You're going to have to figure out a creative solution to fund your closing costs. But you might be able to explore, if you have the knowledge and the tools available to you, explore ways to keep those costs as low as possible if you don't have the cash to front it for that specific home. If you want to learn more about low down payment loans, I have a playlist over here. It's going to show you some ins and outs of a couple different low down payment options they have available to you.